Hi friends, Madam West here. Focus in on the sound of the chimes. If you can train your brain to focus, you can train your brain to be the best student that you can possibly be. I'm going to ring the chimes, and when you can't hear the chimes anymore, show me a thumbs up. All right. Training your brain to focus can help you be the best student you can possibly be. Now, ground your sits bones into your chair, pull your shoulders back, tall and straight. Let's take 3 deep breaths. Ready? Inhale. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale. I'm so excited to be with you, even if it's just by video. I hope by taking 3 deep breaths, you cleanse yourself and get ready to listen and ready to learn. I'm going to read you 2 stories today. I hope that you enjoy them.
Hi, friends. According to many, the area now known as Minnesota has been called home by the Dakota people for many thousands of years. For hundreds of years, the Eastern Dakota moved their villages and varied their work according to the seasons. They spent the winter living off the stores of supplies built up during the previous year. Women gathered wood, processed hides, and made clothes while men hunted and fished. In the spring, villages dispersed and men left on hunting parties while women, children, and the elderly moved us into sugaring villages, and men hunted and fished while women and children cultivated crops such as corn, squash, and beans. Once the corn had been harvested, families focused on gathering wild rice along the rivers. In autumn, families moved to the year's chosen hunting grounds for the annual hunt. This traditional communal support was the basis for Dakota society and culture. We live on Dakota lands that were traditional lands. But just like the excerpt I read from the Minnesota Historical Society, the Dakota people and other Native Americans or indigenous peoples are still alive with us today. They are a modern people, and they are readers and writers just like us. Today, I'm going to read to you 2 authors and the same illustrator. When We Were Alone is the story of the Indian boarding schools that used to be a thing in the past. They used to send Indian children to boarding schools, and this is a reminder of what it was like to experience that. And Dragonfly Kites, another author and illustrator. These 2 authors and illustrators are from Canada. Dragonfly Kites is the story of 2 boys named Joe and Cody who live in the northern woods with their parents for the summer. I hope you enjoy them.
Alone. When we were alone. Today I helped my Kokom in her flower garden. She always wears colorful clothes. It's like she dresses in rainbows. When she bent down to prune some of the flowers, I couldn't even see her because she blended in with them. She was like a chameleon. Nokom, why do you wear so many colors? I asked. Nokom said, well, no sissum. When I was your age at home in my community, my friends and I wore many different colors. But at the school I went to, far away from home, they gave us different clothes to wear. All the children were dressed the same, and our clothes weren't colorful at all. We all mixed together like storm clouds. Why did you have to dress like that? I asked. They didn't like that we wore such beautiful colors, Nokom said. They wanted us to look like everyone else. But sometimes in the fall, when we were alone and the leaves had turned to their warm autumn hues, we would roll around on the ground. We would pile the leaves over the clothes they had given us, and we would be colorful again. Now, Nokom said, I always wear the most beautiful colors. After I helped with the flowers, we went over to the back gate. There were vines covering the gate, and they reached all the way to the ground. When my Kokom turned to fix the latch, I saw that her braid hung almost as low as the vines. It was like she had a tail. "Nokom, why do you wear your hair so long?" I asked. Nokom said, "Well, no sissum. When I was your age, at home in my community, my friends and I grew our hair long, just like our people have always done. It made us feel strong and proud. But at the school I went to, far away from home, they cut off all our hair. Our strands of hair mixed together on the ground like blades of dead grass." "Why did you have to wear your hair like that?" I asked. "They didn't like that we were proud," Nokom said. "They wanted us to be like everybody else." But sometimes in the spring, when we were alone, and the grass had grown so long and thick in the field, we would pick the blades from the ground. We would braid them into the short hair they had given us, and we would have long hair again. And this made us happy. Now, Nokom said, I always wear my hair very long. After my Kokom had fixed the latch, I followed her to the birdhouse. There was a bird flying through the air, like a jingle dress dancer. She fed the bird and whispered, "Na pinaisis, mikiso, tamisi kitiyin, tamaskiyin," and her words sounded just like a poem. "Nokom, why do you speak in Cree?" I asked. Nokom said, "Well, no sissum. Here, little bird, eat, so you will get big and strong." When I was at your age, at home in my community, my friends and I always spoke our language. But at the school I went to, far away from home, they wouldn't let us speak our words. All the children used their strange words, and we didn't understand them at all. Our voices blended together like a flock of crows. "Why did you have to talk in their language?" I asked. "They didn't like that we spoke our language," Nokom said. "They wanted us to talk like everyone else." But sometimes in the summer, when we were alone and our teachers weren't anywhere around the place where we were, we would whisper to each other in Cree. We would say all the words we weren't allowed to say so that we wouldn't forget them. And this made us happy. Now, Nokom said, I always speak my language. After our gardening was done, I sat with my Kokom in the backyard. Her brother came over and sat with us. He comes over all the time. We drank tea and ate bannock. The tea was hot and sweet, and the bannock was moist and warm and melted in my mouth. My Kokom and my uncle talked and laughed like children. Nokom, why do you and Nokomis always spend time together? I asked. Nokom said, well, no sissum. When we were your age, at home in our community, being with family was the most important thing. We played with each other, did chores together, and shared everything. But at the school I went to, far, far away from home, they wouldn't let us be together. My brother and I were separated like day and night. Why were you and Nokomis separated? I asked. They didn't like when we were with family, Nokom said, because when we were together, we thought too much of home. But sometimes in the winter, when we were alone, and we were sure nobody could see us, we would find each other. We would take off our mitts, and in the crisp, cold air, we would hold hands so we could be with each other. And this made us happy. Now, Nokom said as she reached over and held my uncle's hand and mine, I am always with my family. When we were alone. Cody are two brothers who love inventing and naming everything. Stick friends, stone children, wild baby birds. All have names and a special place in each boy's heart. But their magical dragonfly kites are the best inventions of all. With them, the boys can run forever and fly high above their north country and into the land of dreams. Poet and playwright Thompson Highway, that's the author, knows the value of simplicity and imagination. Here he tells of two boys living close to nature whose dreams take flight, filling their days with creativity and a sense of wonder. Julie Flett's elegant, uncluttered illustrations complement the story's message perfectly. Told in English and Cree, Dragonfly Kites encourages us all to remember that the best things in life are indeed free. And I'm proud to read this book, written and illustrated by authentic Native voices. Dragonfly Kites. Joe and Cody lived in the far north. Their summer home was a tent near a lake. There are hundreds of lakes in northern Manitoba, so they never stayed on the same one twice. The lakes had beautiful islands and forests and beaches and clear water, but no people. There was just Joe and Cody, their papa and their mama, and Cody's little dog, Ootsie, who was almost a person. While their parents caught fish, the boys would think up games with made-up toys. They would take a long, thin stick and name it John. They would name another stick Mary. They would have a stone and name it Bobby, and another would be called Nancy. They would put John and Bobby and Mary and Nancy in a circle with all the other sticks and stones they named. They would talk with their new friends. They would sing and dance. They would even sleep with the sticks and stones and make them breakfast. One summer, Joe and Cody made a pet of a baby Arctic tern. They called him Freddie. Another summer, their pet was a baby loon named Sally. Sally wasn't very good at walking, but she swam well. The boys named the squirrels and the rabbits and the chipmunks that ate from their hands. They even had names for the ants. They once had two baby eagle friends. They named one Migisu, which means eagle in Cree. The other they named Wagasu, which doesn't mean anything, but rhymes with Migisu. But the dragonflies were their favorite pets. They caught them in a net as the dragonflies flew by the tent. They took pieces of thread from their mother's sewing kit and tied one gently around the middle of each dragonfly. Joe and Cody held on to the other end of the thread and let the dragonflies go. Off they flew. The brothers ran along behind them. Ootsie ran too, jumping and barking. The brothers followed their magic kites through the meadows, past the trees, down to the water, and all along the beach. They ran and ran until the sun began to set. Then they let go of the strings and waved goodbye to the dragonflies. It was time to go to bed. In their dreams, the boys still ran behind their kites. They ran down to the beach and into the water. They hopped from wave to wave. They bounced over islands and leaped over forests. The dragonflies soared high above at the end of long, long strings. Joe and Cody dreamed they jumped so high that they didn't come down. Off they flew with their dragonfly kites into the gold and pink of the northern sunsets until it was time to wake up. Dragonfly Kites by Thompson Highway.